Been a while. Aren't you glad we're back? Well, everybody, long time no see. So tomorrow is the Yule ritual. I want to make Yule cake like we did last year, but I don't have candied fruit because you can't find it anywhere. And realistically, the only place I can get it is off Amazon or Walmart.com. And it won't be here before tomorrow. So we're going to try to make candied oranges. Now, the recipe doesn't look too difficult, but neither did the maple butter. So, anyway. So what you're going to need for this is 4 small oranges, which I bought 3 big ones. It's fine. Everything's fine. 4 cups of granulated sugar, 8 cups of ice water, which I've already got the ice in the bowl, and then 4 cups of water divided. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the ice water, so there's going to have to be 8 cups of water put in this with the ice, and then 2 more cups of water. So we're going to do that real quick. You know, in hindsight, they probably could have just put 10 cups of ice water in the large bowl, because you mixed 8 cups of ice water with 2 cups of regular water in the bowl. It's going to be 10 cups of ice water anyway. Anyway, that was going to be to slice up the oranges into thin rounds. Now, it says you want 4 small oranges, like tangelos. I didn't buy those. I bought these. Oops. There you go. Our handy dandy cutting board. Shameless self-promotion. It says you want to cut these about an 8-inch thick, so I'm going to try not to slice my fingers off. Get into the actual meat of the orange. Turn this down just a... Okay, let's do this. There we go. Look at that. Okay. So I'm about an 8-inch thick. So, like that, I think. And then you're going to want to put these in the bowl of ice water that they said isn't all ice water. I didn't write the recipe. I don't know, man. Gonna let these soak in there. Try not to cut your fingers off. Nobody wants that trip to the hospital. What happened to you? Well, I was cutting an orange, and well, I guess it's better than the people that go to the hospital for things that they accidentally fell on. Word to the wise, as an EMT firefighter, we know you didn't accidentally fall on it. Anyway, I'm going to cut the rest of these oranges up. We'll be right back. Okay, oranges are cut up. You have to let them soak for 30 minutes. So, being that we have to let them soak for the next 30 minutes, and tomorrow is a ritual, and we bring a roast to every ritual. We're just going to go ahead and make that too while we're here. Frig it. Okay, if you've been following me for a while, or you know me outside of here, you've seen me make this before. This is one of our videos from, I want to say it was one of the last videos I made before I kind of had to take a hiatus for EMT class and everything else that I had going on at the time. But start off with half an onion. Every roast goes in the bottom. This is by far my least favorite part of making the roast, because it's an onion. Makes you cry. Try to peel as much of the peel off of it beforehand. You know, just to one less thing I have to worry about. So use half an onion. So we're just gonna. Actually, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try that paper towel trick first. Hold on. Garbage can out of the way. See, if you put a paper towel on the cutting board when you do this, it's supposed to help, because the whatever chemical is in the onion that makes you cry seeks out moisture. So go ahead and cut this. Usually I left the water on. Usually I pull it apart and everything like that, but we're just going to chop it this time. Just chop it and put it in there that way, because it's easier. You can get it done faster, so the likelihood of me crying is a lot smaller. Try to chop it up as thin as we can, because this goes in the bottom underneath everything. I try to chop it up thin, but leave the chunks big enough, because not everybody likes onions. I know I'm not a fan of them, realistically, but I like their flavor. So they go really well in the bottom of the roast. And by putting them in the bottom, they will cook up through the roast. So update. Paper towel trick doesn't work really all that well. If you'll excuse me, I'll be right back. Now, as you can see, I grabbed the other ingredients for the roast. So I've got a 6-pound roast. It goes on top of the onions. So open this bad boy right now. Now, like I said, the reason this goes on top of the onions is because it allows the onion flavor to come up through the roast, which really adds to the whole thing. So make sure we got the butcher paper off the bottom. Big old nice chunk of meat right there. Put that in there like that. Now I use a cup of broth. So grab our broth. You can use water. I don't like to use water. I think broth just adds to the flavor. Dump that outside the crock pot too, apparently. I'll clean that up in a sec. So just add a little more. This is why we can have nice things, kids. Alright, let's put that over there. Now, add in some baby carrots. This is pretty much a however much you want to add. Depends on how much you like carrots. Really. Now the trick with this roast It's all in the seasoning. And yes, seasoning does matter. So we're gonna just put them on the roast. Now, before I do the next step, which is the potatoes, we're gonna want to add that. I like to put a couple cuts in the beef to allow it to absorb the seasoning. So, liquid smoke, that is my secret to it all, actually. Good spices make bad cooks great. Alright, so put that in there. A little bit of black pepper. Some 5 spices. And some sage. Now this is how I made it last time, sans the liquid smoke actually, for our Samhain ritual, and it came out really good. So, yeah, there's that. Carrots. Now the last thing I put in here is these little potatoes. I like the multicolored ones. Do whatever you want. As far as that goes. Now there's no specific way to do the seasoning. It's really just kind of an eyeball thing. You know, so you experiment with it as you like. Potatoes on top. And pack them down. The roast is a lot bigger than I thought it was. It's a 6-pound roast. So, yeah. So, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the crock pot. And it's going to go on low for about 13 hours. 12 to 13 hours is ideal. And then we switch it back to warm. But when it's done, you can pull it apart with a spoon. So I'm going to do that. And it should be about another 15 minutes to let the oranges sit. So we'll move on to the next step with the oranges right after this. So for the next step, what we're going to want to do is we're going to take 2 cups of water, throw them in that pot behind me there, with 4 cups of sugar, granulated sugar. We're going to heat them on a medium heat and stir until the sugar is dissolved. And then we're going to add the oranges into that. So you're going to want to make sure you have a pot big enough to do this with. Otherwise, you're going to make a mess. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember how we're always well prepared for this sort of thing? Alright, so we need 4 cups of sugar. Okay, so we have 4 cups of sugar, and now we need 2 cups of water. Remember how in the video I posted earlier on my Facebook I said that this possibly couldn't be any worse than when I made maple butter. We're about to find out if that's going to be the case, because the next step is to heat this over medium heat until the sugar dissolves, and then we add this. So this is going to be the part where it's either going to go well, or it's going to be a mess. Guess we'll find out. Okay, the sugar is all dissolved. So now we're going to add a piece of the rind. We're going to add the oranges with the water to the pot. And then we're going to bring it to a boil. It just says to bring it to a boil. So we're going to do that. Bring this up to a boil. Alright, it's starting to boil. I mean, if nothing else, this smells fantastic. So, yeah. So pretty much what we're going to do here, from here, is we're going to let it start boiling. And then you turn it down on, so I got the recipe right here. So reduce it to low, and then you want to let them simmer for 1 hour while stirring them occasionally. That's kind of gross. But yeah, if nothing else, this smells delightful. So there's that. Okay, so it's been an hour. Heat's off. I'm gonna let this sit and cool for the next 30 minutes. The laptop is on the charge, that's why we're on the phone. But we're gonna sit and let this cool for the next 30 minutes. So you wanna take it right off the heat, let it cool off, and we'll go from there. Another really neat thing about it, things like air fryers, is they have wire racks built right into them. So when you need wire racks, you have wire racks. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the oranges out of the syrup after letting it cool for 30 minutes after you take it off the heat. And we're going to put it on the racks to dry. And then once they're dry, we're going to coat them with granulated sugar. So we're going to put those on the racks, let them dry for a little bit. We're going to coat them with sugar. Okay. I'm going to be really honest with you, they're not 100% dry, but it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably better to coat them while they're still a little bit moist. So, we've got granulated sugar in the bowl. I'm going to take them, I'm going to flip them in the granulated sugar. I'm going to put them on this plate because they're going to be used for tomorrow when we make the Yule cake. So, we're going to do that quick. I mean, you know me, I'll try at least one of them just to see how it tastes, but I didn't burn the house down, and we didn't have any major malfunctions like we did with the maple butter, so I think we did pretty good. Anyway, so I'm going to coat one quick, give it a shot, and see how it tastes. Oh, we'll take this guy right here. It looks... I'm not gonna lie, that tastes just like orange slices. You know what I'm talking about. The orange slices you go and you get like at the farmer's market and stuff. That's what that tastes like. So, we didn't screw up. a lot. I don't think, well, I mean, other than the fact that I got huge oranges instead of small ones, whatever. It's neither here nor there. So they came out good. We're gonna try and make this a regular thing again, at least every other week. Soon, I hope to have my altar set up enough to where I can go back to reading from the Poetic Edda as well. But I guess we'll see you next time.